I need to tell you something. That way you're living, that thing you're pursuing, it's not going to give you what you think it will. I was born in Chelsea, one of the most affluent areas of London, England. From the outside, my life looked perfect. Beautiful streets, stylish cafes, art galleries around every corner. I lived with my mother and my 2 older sisters, while my father worked constantly as a successful businessman. He was rarely home, but he made sure we had everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Long brunches in Chelsea, shopping trips along King's Road, afternoons wandering through elegant gardens and art galleries. As a child, I believed that was normal. I thought everyone grew up surrounded by beauty, comfort, and opportunity. Looking back now, I realize something heartbreaking. I had the kind of life people dream about, and I still managed to destroy it. My name is Brittany, and if you had met me back then, you probably would have envied my life. But if you met me today, you would ask how a girl who had everything managed to lose almost all of it. And before I continue, I want to say something directly to you. If you're in your youthful years right now, you're 18 or in your early 20s, because at 16, I thought nothing truly bad could ever happen to me. And I was wrong. Oh yes, I was very wrong. Growing up, my world was comfortable and predictable. My mother believed in good manners, good schools, and good futures. My sisters were responsible and focused. I was the youngest, the free spirit, as my mother liked to say. At school, I did well at first. Teachers liked me. I loved art classes, dance, and literature. I dreamed of becoming many things at different times. A fashion designer, a gallery curator, sometimes even a dancer on a grand stage. I imagined my future the way young people often do. Bright, glamorous, and full of endless possibilities. If you're young and listening to this now, I want you to stop for a moment. Really, picture your own future. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Because I need you to remember those dreams while you hear the rest of this story. At 16, I had those same dreams, but there was something else I wanted, even more. I wanted to belong. And if you're young and listening, you know exactly what that feels like. The desire to fit in, to be accepted, to be liked, is more powerful than most adults realize. And here's a question for you. Have you ever done something just to feel like you belonged? Think about that for a second. It started subtly. New friends, new conversations, new ideas about life. One afternoon after school, sitting with a group of friends at a cafe, someone said a phrase that was becoming popular online. YOLO. You only live once. Everyone laughed. You worry too much, Brittany, one of them said. Just live a little. That sentence stayed in my mind longer than it should have. Just live a little. And if you're still young or in your early 20s, I want you to hear this part carefully, because many bad decisions in life begin with 4 harmless-sounding words. Just live a little. Have you ever heard someone say that to you, or even told yourself that? Think about the last time. At first, it meant harmless things, skipping a class, staying out a little later, going to parties I would have once avoided. My grades began to slip, not dramatically, but enough that teachers noticed. But something else was happening. I was becoming popular. I started going to more parties. I learned to dance like everyone else at the clubs. My phone buzzed constantly with invitations. People knew my name. And for a teenage girl, that kind of attention feels powerful. Let me pause here and tell you something important. If you are chasing popularity right now, listen carefully. Popularity can feel like success, but it can quietly pull you away from the future you once imagined. And you rarely notice it happening. Ask yourself, is being liked today worth risking the life you want tomorrow? By 17, my life had changed completely. School became an afterthought. My nights were louder, my mornings were harder. The parties became bigger. At first, there was alcohol. Then, there were drugs. I remember the first time someone handed me something stronger and said, "Relax, everyone does it." And if you're in your 20s listening right now, I need you to hear this next sentence very clearly. The moment you decide to follow the crowd, you quietly give the crowd control over your future. That moment matters more than people realize. Because life rarely collapses all at once. It changes, one small decision at a time. Have you noticed how small choices can sneak up on you? There's a lesson here, but I'm not going to explain it yet. Because when you're young, warnings rarely sound convincing. Stories do. So let me continue, until the night the police knocked on our door. A party had gotten out of control. There were drugs everywhere. Someone called the police. I wasn't arrested that night, but I was taken home in the back of a police car. My mother cried the whole way. My father didn't speak to me for 2 days. If you're listening to this, and you still have parents who worry about you, appreciate that. Because the people who care about you the most are often the ones we ignore when we're young. Ask yourself, are you noticing the people who truly care? That should have been the moment I changed. It wasn't. Instead, I became more reckless. Because once you start breaking rules, something strange happens inside your mind. The first time feels terrifying. The 10th time feels normal. Think about that. I still had dreams then. Sometimes, late at night, I would imagine a different future. I imagined studying fashion in Paris. I imagined opening my own boutique. I imagined standing in a gallery surrounded by art I loved. Let me ask you something right now. If you have dreams like that, are your daily choices helping you reach them? Or slowly pulling you away? Because that's exactly what was happening to me. My dreams were still there, but they were losing the fight. Because every day, I was choosing something easier. Fun now, consequences later. YOLO. Dreams do not disappear suddenly. They fade quietly every time you trade them for temporary excitement. Have you noticed how quickly small decisions add up? The accident happened when I was 19. And if you're the kind of person who believes that could never happen to me, I used to believe that too. It was late. We had been partying. Someone said we should drive to another club across the city. I remember laughing in the passenger seat. Music was loud, the streets nearly empty. And then, headlights, a sudden turn, metal screaming, glass exploding, and then, silence. Pause. Let that moment sink in for a second. When I woke up in the hospital, the first thing I noticed was the ceiling. The second thing I noticed was that I couldn't move my legs. Doctors spoke gently, too gently. Spinal damage, permanent injury, wheelchair. Words that felt impossible to understand. I used to be beautiful. I used to dance all night. I used to imagine walking down fashion runways, traveling the world, building a life that felt exciting and meaningful. Now, I I struggled to sit up in bed. And if you're listening to this while chasing excitement, attention, or validation, please hear this carefully. Everything can change in a single moment, a single decision, a single night. Ask yourself, what choices today could change your life tomorrow? And for the first time in years, life became very quiet. Quiet enough to think. That's when the third lesson finally arrived. The consequences of your choices might not come immediately. Sometimes it waits. And then it asks for everything at once. Recovery took months. Emotionally, it took years. Many of the friends who once filled my phone with messages slowly disappeared. Parties moved on without me. The same people who once shouted YOLO were now living their own lives. I was left with long days and longer nights, and my thoughts. Have you ever felt truly alone with your choices? One evening, I looked through an old notebook from school. Inside were sketches of dresses I had designed when I was 15. Next to them were lists of goals, places I wanted to visit, things I wanted to learn, who I hoped to become. I stared at those pages for a long time, and I asked myself a painful question. What happened to that girl? If you're listening right now, you might still be that person. You might still have those dreams. You might still be standing at the beginning of your story. And if you are in your early adulthood or 20s right now, this is the part of the story meant for you, because you still have something I wish I could have back. Time. The final lesson took me the longest to understand. YOLO does not mean chasing every thrill. It does not mean ignoring consequences. It does not mean wasting the life you've been given. Ask yourself, how are you using your time today? Today, I speak to young people, not because I have a perfect life, but because I have a story. And sometimes, a story can reach someone at the exact moment they are about to make a decision that changes everything. So if you're young, ask yourself something tonight. What dreams do you have right now? Who do you want to become? And most importantly, are the choices you're making today bringing you closer to that life, or quietly taking you further away from it?